first question is, what is LEAD?
So LEAD is a nonprofit organization that's based here in Atlanta. It stands for Launch, Expose, Advise, and Direct. And our mission is to empower an at-risk generation to lead and transform their city of Atlanta. And so essentially what I'm doing is giving black males here in Atlanta an opportunity to walk in my shoes. I was born here in Atlanta, Northwest Atlanta. Grew up loving baseball. My grandfather, Horace Dunn, was a baseball fan and specifically liked the Cubs, and so we used to watch a lot of those games. And my grandmother Elizabeth Dunn, she used to get mad at all of my aunts because I would go outside and I would get rocks and I would hit them with broomsticks to practice, but I would watch those games in the daytime and just practice in the backyard later on. And so I was able to play professionally for the Chicago Cubs. And so right now I'm committed to just using my life as a roadmap for black males that live in the inner city of Atlanta.
Okay. So you said that it's a program. So can you give us a basic design of the program?
Yes. So we are a 12-month organization, and so what we do is we are Pathway to Empowerment organization. So what we strategically do is cut up the year into 4 parts. August, September, and October are our assessment months. November, December, and January, that's our engagement months. February, March, and April, that's empowerment. May, June, and July is application. One thing that I found, even myself particularly, I need structure. And so one of the things that black males here in Atlanta lack is structure. You got a lot of people coming in that want to help, but don't provide that framework. So that's the guarantee that we're going to provide, that even if you don't make it to the end of our organization, we liken ourselves to the Navy SEALs when it comes down to black males. But even if you don't finish, you're going to really understand what structure is all about. You're going to understand what standards are about, expectations, and accountability. We have 6 core values that we govern ourselves by, which is excellence, humility, integrity, loyalty, stewardship, and teamwork. So right now it's July, and this is teamwork, and then we'll start our year off in August with excellence. So what that means is, you take President Obama. If President Obama right now wanted to come in and speak about humility to our boys, he will be denied that opportunity. You can only speak to my boys, and we have about 300 plus. You can only speak to them about teamwork. If you don't have a sermon in a sentence or a very good message about teamwork in July, you don't get that opportunity at all.
Okay. So, one last question about the organization, because you covered everything. How did this start? How did this come about?
So for me, what I kind of envisioned life being for me when I finished playing professional baseball was moving to the suburbs in Atlanta and living the American dream. Having a wife, kids, and being in the suburbs and moving as far away as I could from the struggles of the inner city of Atlanta, poverty. And so I started a professional development organization called Diamond Directors, which is my for-profit. And so I was training young men who had money. So if you didn't have money, I didn't train you. I never felt good about that. I always felt like I needed to be doing something back home in Atlanta. But I ran away from it and just, like I said, moved to the suburbs. I was training one day one of my clients. His name is Stan Conway, who's a very successful real estate developer. He's a white male, has a young white son, and he asked me one day, he said, what do you want to do with your life? And I told him, I said, I'm happy. I'm making a lot of money off of people like you. I'm good. And he said, no, what else do you want to do? And I found myself very convicted at that time because I wanted to go back to the inner city, but I didn't know how. And one of the things that he said to me then that resonates now, he told me that I was planting seeds in a garden that wasn't mine. And I mean, that hurt me. And so here's a white man who had to convict me to help me to understand that I had a responsibility of using my God-given talents to make sure that I'm uplifting people in the inner city of Atlanta. So that was in 2007. We're celebrating 10 years right now in 2017. But had I not been convicted, I don't think I ever would have came back home.
So now we're going to, not personal, but I read your book and I saw that you had about stages of life. Mm-hmm. So can you take me to the early stages, like the 10 through the 20s?
Yeah, so my stages going from ages 10 through 20 is those were the times where I was starting to build habits or just understand the habits that I needed. I was heavily involved with baseball and was having some ups and downs, but I did get an opportunity to go on to college and play baseball at Georgia State University after graduating with honors from high school. But I didn't understand what work ethic was all about. I mean, I had people that were telling me to work hard and be committed, but I didn't have a working definition for that. So my first workout with the Cubs, I was 14 years old. At 18, I was drafted by the Chicago Cubs. My parents wouldn't allow me to sign professionally, so I had to go to college. I failed out of Georgia State University. Then I transferred and went to a junior college, failed out of there. Was able to achieve my dream of playing for the Chicago Cubs after being drafted a second time, and had a very short career. In addition to physical injuries, I also lacked character. So from age 10 to 20, I was making mistakes that would later come to shape my life. I'm 41 years old now. I really don't have any regrets, because without those past experiences, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing now. But age 10 to 20 was a building phase for me of life.
Okay, so you failed out of
college.
Yeah. So, like, what was the wake-up call? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, okay, I need to get it together?
Well, I think my wake-up moment really was more of a spiritual thing. You know, I give you the short version, and it's in my book. But when I was 21 years old, I was driving on I-20 here in Atlanta, and I met my wife. And so at the time, we weren't married, didn't even know each other. She was driving in her car, and I did like this, asking her to pull over. She was in the car to my right, and she was just kind of shaking her head no. And so I just kind of resolved at that moment I was going to follow her off the exit, and I did. I mean, everything was just lined up. I mean, she was dark-skinned, had a really pretty smile, and from what I could tell, she was a full-figure woman. I like full-figure women, so she had all the boxes checked. And so I just said, look, I'm gonna follow her off the exit. So sure enough, I did. We probably went about 2 miles. She pulled over in a well-lit gas station, and I asked her for a number. Meanwhile, she had a can of mace, and so I asked her, I was like, so you gonna spray me with the mace? And she said, are you gonna do anything to get sprayed? And so that was September 7th, 1996, and we'll be married. We got married November 23rd, 1997. So we had dated for a short period of time. We'll be celebrating 20 years this year in November. But one of the things that she demanded was that I be involved in church. And so the more I was in church, the more I started to develop a relationship with God, really start to understand my purpose in life. And so that just really put me on the pathway to even where I am now, where here in Atlanta, I just don't think Atlanta will ever become a world-class city until hundreds of thousands of black males are living a sustainable life of significance. And I didn't have that clarity until I developed a relationship with God. And so that was the turning point. So marrying my wife Kelly was the thing that really put me on the right trajectory for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to do like 2 last questions. One is, where are you today? Where you are? Where are you?
So where I am today is I have clarity in my life. I am fulfilling God's will. So my purpose in life is to be significant, serving millions, bringing them into a relationship with Jesus Christ. Started with my wife Kelly and my daughters Mackenzie and McKenna. I'm the CEO of LEAD, and specifically I'm the Chief Empowerment Officer, but right now I'm intentionally developing my successor. So in 5 years I would like to be working for the NCAA. One of the issues that we have right now in baseball is 2.9% of Division I baseball players are black. And so right now there's a lot of conversations about the decline of blacks in baseball at the major league level, which is less than 8%. The 70% of Major League Baseball players are drafted from college. So right now, and then even you take a step further, here in Atlanta, 60% of black males won't graduate from high school on time or at all. So I want to go and be a catalyst at the NCAA level. and remove some barriers, specifically that have to deal with racism, so that black males can have more access. So I'm excited. I'm 41. I'm still pretty young. Got a beautiful wife. Got an awesome family, including you. And so I'm in a good place right now.
Okay, one last question. I like to ask this for people that are passionate. Are you living your truth? What is your truth?
I am absolutely living my truth. My truth wasn't revealed until about 3 years ago when I went through a leadership cohort that really allowed me to see the fake life that I was living. Like I said, I was challenged where I was realizing that I was planting seeds in gardens that wasn't mine. And I didn't feel comfortable being a black man because I thought in order to be successful, I could never be white, but I felt like I had to assimilate to be somebody else. But I've got a lot of great relationships now with people of varying races, gender, sexuality, all kind of stuff. So I'm clear on my purpose here. When I leave Earth, I want to leave empty. So I'm very intentional about every day, including even doing this right here. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it was an assignment. So I say no to invitations, yes to assignments. So I am definitely living my truth.
All right, that's it. So, thank you. Any last words you want to say?
I'm good.